send it out to you. See in 48 hours.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm doing okay. Today I'm going to talk about a book that I talked about a week or so ago. One that I haven't read in 47 years, from 1975. It's one of the first actual books that I actually read as a 12 or 13-year-old. Okay, so I was about 12 years old when I saw this book in the store and bought it. Actually, you know where I thought I bought it? I think I bought it at the local card store. So a lot of books in there. You know, there's a lot of cards that you buy. And along one wall is a whole bunch of books in racks. And that's where I found a lot of books. And this was one of them. And I was really attracted to the shiny cover and the title, like, well, but I sure am better. And now, so I read this book back in 1975, and I have not read it again since then. So, as a 12 or 13-year-old, and now as a 60-year-old, there's quite a difference in response and understanding of what are in on these pages between the covers, between the front and rear covers. So I started reading it for the first time in 47 years. And so there was something in the first chapter that really, like, was sort of like an aha moment, but not the kind of aha moment that you'd expect. Okay. So, in any case, he's talking, when I first read the opening about the, in the first chapter, I have a grave emotional problem. I have a serious social disease. And as I continued, the serious social disease, and I love what he says. He says, I think my disease might be the same one you have, but I cannot presume to say. That is for you to decide. And what he's talking about is loneliness. And he said, I thought I was the only one who felt alone, as I did. Because when I looked at my family, nobody looked alone. Dad had it together. He had Mom. Mom pretty much had it together. She took care of us. They both did. My sister, she did not. Oh, she was definitely not alone. Or she did not appear to have loneliness, because she was a social butterfly, you know. So they all had it together. But poor Jimmy, he did not have it together. So I was the only one going through this. He said, I thought I was the only one who felt alone. And that echoed my feelings. And that's what pulled me further into this book. When he says, I found I was not alone. Now, there are two ways to take that title. I found I was not alone in my feeling of loneliness. Okay. And I found I was not alone because there are other people around. I mean, there are many ways to take that. It's a great title for the chapter. Then he goes in to say that, excuse me, loneliness and feeling alone is not a contemporary issue. That it goes way, way back, many, many eons, many centuries. And he then pinpoints an Indian tribe or an Indian village. And when I read this with you, excuse me, this really blew my mind. And I think as a 12-year-old, it kind of went over my head because I could not perceive it as an adult. And he talks about, here we go. The Indians in the village were one at a time going down to the stream. They would see their reflection in the stream, and they would speak to the stream of what was deep in their hearts. And that made them feel good. But when they came back to their fellow villagers, they didn't speak to each other of what they had done. One day, two little children went down to the stream and spoke of their hearts to the stream and felt good. They came back and told the villagers what they had done. And the villagers screamed at them, "You terrible children! You shouldn't do that." The children were surprised at this. "You mean you don't do that?" And the adults said, "No." They lied. "You are terrible children." And then, of course, it says they tried to kill them, but Coyote came to save them. But earlier in the chapter, they speak about that the adults, I think he said this, right? That the adults went down to the stream and spoke to their reflection in the stream. They looked down in the stream, see their reflection, and they would speak to the reflection of what was in their hearts. But they didn't dare speak of what they did to the other fellow villagers because that is a very intimate thing they did. They opened themselves up, being vulnerable. But when they came and said to the adults of what they did, the adults didn't dare expose the fact that they did it too. So they screamed at them, "You terrible children! You are terrible children for doing that. And they asked, you mean you don't do that? They said, oh, no, we don't do that. You are terrible. Now, how does this reflect on me? Well, this is what the aha moment actually was for me. When I was at Howland Center, when I was at Ward School, okay, William B. Ward, I did not have the luxury of a mirror or the reflection of a stream to speak my open heart to.
When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates.
And I guess I mumbled to the wall. And I saw that the other kids didn't do that. And I thought they never did. None of them did. None of them opened their hearts out to themselves or speak intimately to themselves. Speaking out loud, thinking out loud. So I had to sort of speak quietly. And I would be, I guess, at the wall part of the classroom or whatever. And I would speak quietly to myself. And the other kids thought there was something wrong with me, that I was a strange kid who talked to himself or talked to somebody who wasn't there. Oh, there's something wrong with that kid. He's talking, but there's nobody there that he's speaking to. And the adults, of course, said, and Mr. Johnson, the vice principal, said, we have to do something with, they said this to my parents. He said, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Lipton, but we cannot keep Jimmy in the school any longer. He has become a disturbance and a disruption. He's been disrupting the school. And I'm sorry, but we cannot allow him to return in the fall. Now, this was in 4th grade. And Miss Meyerhoff was my homeroom teacher. And, you know, I and Mrs. After went through the David Metzger episodes during that year. But the thing was that, you know, the adults were like, we cannot have your son Jimmy, who is talking to imaginary people. He is a very disturbed child. And then my parents sent me to a school for the emotionally damaged, or, you know, children. Emotionally disturbed children. And I was considered emotionally disturbed because I was speaking to somebody who wasn't there. And basically I was thinking out loud. But this was in 1972. I believe this was 1972, the spring of 1972. And they said, you know, Mr. Johnson said, I'm sorry, but we cannot, your son Jimmy is emotionally disturbed, and we cannot allow him to return. So I go to this school thinking that I am a disturbed child, that there's something very wrong with me. Okay. But I found what was interesting when I read in that first chapter
This is
that
starting to open up.
Well, to her, not to me and Michael. We still do
the
it from
adults
Look, I know that
and
it
others
feels like Harry's shutting you
in
down,
that
but try to
village
be patient. This is going to take a little time.
But if we run
would never speak of what they do at the stream,
visiting no Jeffrey Hudson website.
being vulnerable and opening their hearts to their reflections, thinking aloud,
But it should be noted
thinking what was deep in their hearts,
crosshairs over your face. And the things that they wrote
to
about.
hear it out in the open.
Hudson made his choices, didn't care who he hurt, that's on him.
And
Parents still blame
the adults, because if the adults said, yes, we do it too, then they would be branded as crazy. They would be branded as crazy, or it would be a secret that would create a scandal or gossip or whatever. It's kind of an intimacy. It's like opening up your dirty laundry out in the open. You know. Now,
I think I was trying to go home.
for me now,
And remember,
this book
ask you if you got a good look at your abductor.
is a great book. I mean, I just got started rereading it.
Like when they,
And
yeah, exactly.
so anyway,
My life's just
I just wanted to share that with you.
jog your memory.
And, oh cool, I got a standing.
Taylor Kelly, Channel 8 News. I'm a big fan.
I ain't well, but I sure am better.
Maybe you'd like to give an on-camera statement about your ordeal. I'm sure the public will want to hear your account of this atrocious crime.
I don't remember much.
Is your wife here? Maybe she can talk about her relief after your miraculous rescue.
Lizzie? Yeah, she's not here.
Is she home?
She's on a trip. A cruise in Alaska. Girls cruise. Trip big. You know, communication up there can be pretty spotty.
And that's another thing that pulled me into the book.
Reservation.
Jeff Blair tells you how to make and keep real friends.
You know, I don't feel so good. Maybe if we could finish this later. If you could leave a card. Of course. You might want to call me first, Mr. Edelman. If you're in trouble, I can help you.
That was weird, right? His little song and dance about the wedding.
So, anyway,
No comment.
His story doesn't make any
that's
sense.
it for now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And
I want your privacy.
take care, guys. I'll see you later.
Come on.
Okay. See you soon.
The
Okay.
rest of the theory.
Bye.